Soumya. Yes. Now here you see, let me share my screen. Yes. Now here you see servlet is created, right? So with the structure. Now here you see.
Chandra, can you start once again?
Which one?
Can you start from where you like from the uh,
Like creating the servlet, right?
yeah,
Servlet creation.
yeah, yeah, because it is not recorded
Okay, fine.
for the sake of recording.
Yes, yes. Here you see. Just you go for 1 minute. Let me delete this. Now here you will get src folder, right? So from src, okay, just you right click on src and you go for new option, and here you have to select servlet. Okay, select servlet option here, and you must change the superclass to generic servlet. Just click on OK. But here you see we must specify class name. So we given the class name as show. Then you go for next, next. Okay, so here which method we need to create in the servlet? Service method. That's why here we must select service method option here, service option. Then you go for finish. Like this you see. Okay, fine. Then related package is also imported automatically. So we need not import automatically, it imports, right? Then now here you see. So clearly you see the method structure is generated like a public void service, and the two parameters also we discussed, right? So that means what are the two parameters for service method? Servlet request and servlet response, right? So these two objects generates by servlet content and then passes those two objects to service method which is presented in the servlet. That's what we discussed. Fine. Now here you see. Let me create PrintWriter object. So what you see PrintWriter object. Why we need to create PrintWriter object? You see, and we need to import related package, right? Yes. Here you see I'm going to import the related package. PrintWriter taken from java.io package. Just wait. Here you see. Yes. Now the package is imported here. Let me declare this. Let me declare the object. The top of the class. You see, like this. So why we need to create PrintWriter object? Yes. You see. response dot get writer. Now here you see response dot get writer. So that means why we created PrintWriter object here, that is to write the response or to send the response for the user. Okay. So that means which response or which data we need to send as a response for the user, that should be included in this response object. Okay. For that purpose we created PrintWriter object here, right? Then you see t.println. So with this method we are writing the data into response object. You see that HTML. That means here response generating for the user in the form of HTML. So do you have the knowledge on HTML? Sai, Kishan and Soumya? HTML. Do you know about HTML language?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, fine. And Sai and Kishan.
Yeah.
And here you see. Yeah. Now here you see. Then after, so this is the text, or this is the as a response. This text is generating for the client or user. And let me close the tags also, body tag and the HTML tag. Okay, fine. Okay, so a simple program we written here, right? Now, here you see servers option is here, and Tomcat integrated with Eclipse. And moreover, it is in running state. It is already started using. If ever it is not started, yes, you have to start it first. How it is? Just right click on this, and you will get option start. At present, server is already started. That's why here we are getting restart option. Okay, fine. So we need not start, but already it is started. So that we have to execute the servlet directly. How it is? You see, just right click on show.java, and you go for run as option and run on server. Yes, servlet needs to run on the server, right? That's why here we have to select run on server. Then go for next, go for finish, restart server. So now the server is going to restart. Once server is restarted, then our servlet executes. Now server is restarting here, you see. Yes. Now you see response is generated from the servlet like this, right? Response is generated. What we given here, you see. Message from servlet. So what is the text we given here? Exactly the text generated as a response for the user. Understood all of you right now? So if any queries, please ask me right now. This is the first example on servlet. Any queries? Shai? Kishan and Soumya. Any queries? Please ask me. Yes, I. And Kishan.
Yeah, yes, Chandra.
Yeah, fine. Now, here you see another example. But here let me show diagrammatical representation here. Now, already I shown this diagrammatical representation for you, even I am showing, you see. Imagine this is a servlet and this is user, this is user and this is server. Okay. So when any request sent by the user, okay, this is the request and this is the server. So initially the request, so what is the request sent by the user accepts by container. This is called container. This is container. Just 1 minute. So after request sent by the user, here container accepts the request and then loads each and every servlet itself. So here I am showing servlets here. This is the first servlet. So all these are servlets here, right? And this is servlet here. So like the process is like this. You see, whenever request sent by the user, initially container accepts that request and then loads all servlets into container itself and then initializes each and every servlet with some values. Yes. To initialize all these servlets, okay, it looks up into one more method which is called init method. So that servlet should contain one more method which is called init method and one object, just let me type, using servlet config object. Just wait. So we have to import that servlet config. Let me create servlet config here. Now here you see servlet config object. So what about the servlet config object? Yes. So here you see, like what is the main point we discussed here? Here servlet container initializes each and every servlet with some values. What values? That's why, yes, this container generates servlet config object for each and every servlet and passes that object to identity methods, right? Identity method. So here servlet config object passes to identity method by the container. Okay. Then here you see some values includes in the servlet config object also. Let me repeat that sentence. Let me show. Here you see. Yes. So what is the main point we have to discuss? Yes. Here servlet container loads all the servlet itself and then creates servlet config object and then includes some values in the servlet config object. That is to initialize each and every servlet. Right? Then how we will set values into config object you see. Now here is right click, go for new option and you go for servlet. And let me type the class name as config servlet. Now here you see we given the class name as config servlet and given the super class name as generic servlet. Yes, can you tell me why we created a super class as generic servlet here? Why we created super class as generic servlet? Any one of you? Why we created
Uh,
super class as generic servlet?
because the servlets need to have the service method, and servlet
Yes, right.
method is
Service
extended
method
from generate
and
servlet.
yes, service method and identity method is also taken from generic servlet only. So here you see we selected just 1 minute. You see we created some values. So what are the values needs to set in the servlet config object we added here, right? Then you go for next and here we must include identity method and service method. Then finish. So let me remove the unnecessary code from here. Even this is also not necessary here, so we can remove this private static final long serial version UID also. And here you see what is the value we given there. So it is showing them here, right? And now for identity method, let me remove these comments, generate automatically. Now here you see. Let me declare one variable here, count variable. Okay, now. So here one we discussed one point. So what is the value we given at the time of servlet creation? That value stores in the servlet config object by the container, right? Then here when we need to get that value from servlet config object, yes, we can get it. How it is you see? config dot get init parameter of value. Okay, here you see. Just wait. Now, so what is the value presented or what is the value assigned by servlet container into servlet config object? Okay, we are getting them with a method called get init parameter. So here you see, what is the value here? 10. And what is the name? Why we given name here? Yes. So here while storing the data into servlet config object, okay, container holds the data in the form of key and value. Yes, this is key and this is value. So when we given key for get init parameter method, then it returns this value in string format only, not numerical format. So we must convert that into integer format. How it is you see? Okay, just we converted that value into integer format. And we have to assign that value into a variable called count. Understood right, all of you? Fine. Now that means here this servlet initialized with the value what we given here. That means after servlet initialization is completed by servlet container, then it executes service method whenever a request came from the user. Okay. Yes. Now here you see. So response dot get writer. Now with this example, we are going to count the number of requests made by the user. Like that, we are writing the logic here. Okay. Now let me execute this. So here you see what we done. We are incrementing the count value. So what is the initial value we given for count value here? Then let me change this value to 0. So whenever the first request came from the user, then servlet container executes service method, and through the service method it increments the count value. Okay, now here you see. Whenever the second request came from the user, yes, it re-executes the same service method and increments the count value here, right? Yes, now here you see. Right click on this, go for run as option, and run on server. Go for next, go for finish. So now server is going to restart. Yeah, so we are not printing that value. Let me print that count value also. So let me restart. Now you see, this is the first request number we sent for the user. Request number 2. So for each refresh, request is reaching to the servlet. You see that. So till now, 10 requests made by the user, right? Understood all of it right now? Okay. Now that is about INIT method. Yes, any queries from here? Please ask me. Sai, Kishan, and Soumya. If any queries are there, please ask me right now.
Yeah, Chandra, can you explain the flow once again? The flow, how is it going in the program?
Sorry, come again.
Can you explain the flow of the program?
Okay. Yeah, sure, sure. Just 1 minute, please.
Okay.
Okay, fine. So, yeah. So you need a request flow, right? Yeah. Now here you see, I'm repeating the process. So initially, like just I'm starting from request. That means whenever request, any request came from the user, container accepts that request. That's we know very well. So after request accepted by the container, then it loads all the servlets into container itself. So let me show diagrammatically also to see. So here all these are servlets, right? So here container loads all these servlets itself and then creates servlet config object for each and every servlet to hold some values. So what are the values we given? Yes, that values holds in the servlet config object and then passes that servlet config object to INIT method presented in the servlet. Okay, then after. So what are the values included in the servlet config object? With those values only each servlet initialize. Okay, that means here with INIT method servlets are initializing. So after servlet initialized here, then any request came from the user, then it processed the request. Okay, that means when a request came from the user, then servlet container creates two different objects. That's we know very well. What are the objects it creates? Servlet request object and servlet response object. Okay, these two objects generates by servlet container and passes them to service method. This is a request code. Clear? Sai,
Yeah, yes, Chandra.
this is the flow.
Yes, Chandra, it's
Yes.
clear.
Yeah, fine. And what about you? So any queries from here? Just 1 minute. Yeah. Hello. Yeah, Sai, Kishan, and Soumya. Any queries are there? Please ask me.
It's clear, sir.
Yeah, fine. And here you see, this INIT method is also taken from generic servlet. So two methods we used in this servlet, INIT and service. These two methods taken from servlet, sorry, generic servlet class. Okay, and let me add one more method here. Now here you see one more method. What about this? For example, if the server is going to close, then this servlet container clears all the resources created for each and every servlet. Okay, so what are the resources created? That means here you see resources means, yes, all these are resources. Okay, count, servlet config object, okay, PrintWriter object, servlet request object, servlet response object. So it clears all the resources. That is by looking up into destroy method. Okay, here you see P is equals to null means destroyed. PrintWriter object is destroyed like that. The same way request is equals to null. response is equals to none. Okay, but actually, so this statement is not going to reflect in the output. Same output generates, but here uh, we will not get any reflect on the output. Okay, you see, let me execute this. Right click on config servlet, run as, run on server. Go for next, go for finish. Here you see, like question number 2, question number 3, something like this. So, for example, if we are going to stop the server, now we stopped the server. So, when we stopped the server here, servlet container executes destroy method. Okay, that is to clear all the resources created for the servlet. Now let us start the server. So once the server is started, process is same. So understood all of you right now? Sai, Kishan and Soumya. If any queries, please ask me right now. So what are the methods we discussed about? How many methods we discussed about? 3 methods. What are those? init, service and then destroy. Okay. So these 3 methods are known as life cycle methods of a servlet. Okay, is it clear right now? Understood all of you right now? Yeah, fine. So these 3 methods are known as life cycle methods of a servlet. This is one of the interview question from servlet. Yeah. So for example, if user sending some data like username and password, then how that data reaches to servlet? Let me show that. Now let me create HTML file first. We must create HTML file here. That is to send username and password for the servlet. Yes. Where we have to create HTML file here? Yes. In web content. Okay. We must create HTML file in web content. Yes. Let me do that. Right click on web content. Go for new option. And you go for HTML file. Okay. File name. So here we need to type file name. Here you see, we given the file name as client. Go for next. Go for finish. Now you see. Now here you see we created a client file here. Okay, that is to submit the username and password. Okay, to enter username and password, here you see two fields, two different fields we created. Text field. The first one is text field. You see text field we created here. I think you know very well how to create HTML, how to create the tags, to create HTML, to create text fields. Okay. So here you see we created a text field and then name is also given for the text field as username. Okay, fine. And then after we created password field and given the name as password. And then we created submit button. Okay, like that. But name is not given here. So if we executed this, you see how you will get. Now here you see. So we will get a file like this. Username and password. Okay. So when we click on the submit button, that means by giving some username and password, if we click on the submit button, then that data needs to submit for the servlet. So for which servlet? Let me create the servlet first. Go for new option and go for servlet option. Let me create the subclass name as generate servlet and let me type the class name. I given the class name as request servlet. Go for next. Go for next and finish. You see, the servlet is generated. Just 1 minute, please. So please be online. Just I will come. Just 1 minute, please. Yes, now here you see. Okay, so you see, so here, like what is the servlet name we given here? That should be specified action. Like this, you see. That means whenever the user given data, like username and password, and submitted, then that details passes to request servlet by the servlet container. That's why here we represented servlet name as a request servlet. Okay, fine. Moreover, so whenever the request or whenever the data sent by user, okay, servlet container accepts the data in the form of key and value. So what is key and what is value? Yes, what is the name given for the text field as a key, and what is the value typed in the text field as a value in the same way. So what is the name given for password field as a key, and what is the data typed in password field as a value. So it collects the data in the form of key and value pairs and then stores them in the request object. Okay. Now from request object, the data is collecting with a method called getParameter method. So for getParameter method, we given key as a parameter, so that this method returns the associated value for that user. So understood all of you right now? Is it clear right now all of you? Yeah, Sai, Kishan and Soumya. So did you catch the point what I told you here? Yeah, fine. So, and we are displaying them as an output, that's all. Okay. So in this example, what I shown here, how to collect or how servlet collects the data sent by the user. Let me exclude it. Now let me type username and the password as admin and admin, and submit. Yeah. So it is not saved. Sorry. Let me restart the server. Now let me re-execute. Just wait, I have to restart the Eclipse.
Chandra, you haven't written the HTML body for this servlet
Well,
program, right?
no, not necessarily. Just we created a simple message. That's all.
No, for P dot after writing down P dot response get writer, you don't have to. If you want to show println, you don't have to
Yeah,
write an
understood.
HTML message. No.
Yeah, not necessary.
Okay.
Now let me start the server here. Now here you see, we got the response, right? Sai, Kishan and Soumya. So is it clear right now? All of you?
Chandra, Chandra, like what changes did you make? Did you make any changes?
No, no, nothing is there. Just
Okay,
I
you just
restarted
okay.
Eclipse.
Okay, Chandra.
Just I restarted Eclipse. That's all. Yeah, that's all today's session. Okay. Tomorrow we will discuss some other concepts. Okay. Yeah. Have a good day. Bye bye, all of you.
Bye, Chandra.